Hello there, sociologists. Now today's video is all about functionalism. You should already know some things about functionalism from our earlier topics, but for the theory topic we need to go into a lot more detail. So that's what we're going to do today. Firstly, you might remember that functionalism is a structural theory. And what this means is that they believe the things that make up the structure of society, the social institutions like family or media, well, those things heavily influence and control human behavior. The structure controls the individual. Because they are a structuralist theory, it means they take a macro approach. So this means they look at the big picture of society. They don't look at it on an individual level. They focus on the social institutions themselves because they can control people, not the other way around. You may also remember that functionalism is a consensus theory. So they believe society is a happy place where everyone agrees about the social norms, goals, and values. Because there is this consensus on what is important, it means people can get along and there can be social order. Functionalism is also deterministic. This means that they believe humans have little choice or control over their actions. They believe there are forces that are outside of humans that control our behavior. Sociologists, therefore, should try to measure the effect of these forces on people's behavior. This is why they take a positivist approach to research. We're going to look at the ideas of three key functionalists today. Those are Durkheim, Parsons, and Merton. So let's look at each one of those in turn. Durkheim is one of the founding fathers of sociology. He started with the assumption that humans were basically selfish at heart. And so for society to function effectively, people needed to feel connected to each other. Now, he called this connection social solidarity. Without that social solidarity, he thought society would fail. He came up with the idea of a value consensus, where everyone shares the same ideas about what is normal and valuable in society. For example, everyone agrees that queuing is normal and that life is valuable. He believed it was this value consensus that maintains social solidarity. Parsons is a more recent sociologist than Durkheim, but built on many of his ideas. Parsons believed the value consensus was maintained through socialization, which is people internalizing the norms and values of society, and social control, which are rewards and punishments to control behavior. Durkheim believed that a time of great social change might cause a society to lose its value consensus and enter a state of anomie. People wouldn't feel connected and they would start acting selfishly again. New social norms and values would have to develop or society might collapse. Durkheim also developed the organic analogy. He said society was like a living being made up of lots of different parts that all work together to keep the body functioning. If one part fails, the whole body fails. For a body, the parts are called organs, but for society, the parts are called social institutions. Parsons took this a bit further and argued that society is like a body in two key ways. Firstly, they both have basic needs or they will die. In society, these basic needs are called functional prerequisites. And secondly, they both have lots of parts that all perform a positive function for the whole. Even though Merton was a functionalist, he's different from the other two in some key ways. And his ideas follow really well from Parsons in an essay on functionalism because he disagrees with some of the key ideas. The first of Merton's criticisms is that social institutions don't always have positive functions, like Parsons suggests, and they may even have negative functions, which Merton calls dysfunction. For example, what positive purpose does the social institution of crime carry out for society? Secondly, Merton disagrees with Parsons, who thinks that each social institution that actually exists is the best possible way of fulfilling that function for society. Merton points out that there might be loads of different ways for carrying out that function, and he calls that functional alternatives. Lastly, unlike Parsons, Merton argues that not all institutions are connected to each other. Some of them function completely independently and would be totally unaffected if other institutions failed. He calls this functional autonomy. Merton is also important for recognizing that there's a difference between manifest functions, which are the things that were intended to happen, and latent functions, which are the things that were completely unintended but have happened anyway. So there you have an explanation of the functionalist perspective. You could potentially get a 10 or 20 mark question on this, so you need to know it, and you need to know some evaluation as well. I'll leave you with a little joke. I like to hold hands at the movies, but that seems to startle most strangers.